Hello, 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 beautiful people. I just had this strong urge to go live spontaneously. I've been wanting to for a while, so just gonna kind of wait and see if anyone's around right now. I know it's kind of early. Um, yeah, I have a really beautiful message I've been wanting to share for a long time, and it's just been like there's been so much going on that this is really the first chance I've been able to hop on. But it's given me a lot of time to kind of integrate, this message that, I made as the title for this, as a just to kind of give an idea. But okay, I am feeling kind of really excited. I feel a lot of anticipation right now, so I'm just gonna ground and get the ball. Um, and if you're watching this, you can just take a moment to breathe with me. Tuning into that God source energy that is always available. This is how we tap into who we really are. This is how we tap into our abundance, into our love. I see people are coming in. It's so beautiful. Hello, Metal Demon. What's up? Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. I am seriously so excited right now. So that's another one of my intentions is that I hope I can just share like so much love in this stream, like even more than usual. I am just so excited. So I have a really, really amazing idea and concept and I don't know, awareness, I guess, to share today. Um, and so before we dive into that, though, I just want to share some updates. Thank you all so much for all of your love and support with the album release. Just absolutely incredible. I'm so thankful. I feel so blessed to just have created that and released that and to be able to share it with all you beautiful people and just receiving so much love and support and feedback. It's truly a dream come true. I'm so excited about it and I'm going to continue to be sharing more of it and more music and the story behind it and stuff like that. It's been a really, really amazing week for me because, not only did I release that huge album on the 3rd, but on the 777 triple portal, Alex and I got married. So we had a beautiful wedding ceremony with family and friends, and we camped all weekend. So it was like this is like a huge week for me, maybe one of the greatest weeks, huge, just amazing weeks of my whole life so far. And that 777 portal was huge. It's really amazing to have a wedding ceremony on that day, and a really, really beautiful one at that. A really genuine and spiritual, a really genuine ceremony. um, so yeah, so that's kind of why, it's like I dropped this album and then I kind of like disappeared off the face of the earth for like a week. I feel like that's probably very unusual, probably not the best marketing strategy, but it is what it is, and I'm just so grateful. So I just wanted to share that, these are huge updates going on in my life and so much more to come. So I'm just so grateful to be here and to be a part of it. Hello, Itchy Ander. Hello, thank you so much. Thank you. It really is an incredible journey. I feel so blessed. I feel so much love. I feel so much peace, but I'm also really excited. This, again, just this month is incredible. So I hope you all had a beautiful 777 portal. 7 is like the number associated with spirit. So I don't know how it was for you guys. And I'm not even trying to be, new agey or anything. It's just like these number portals are really, really potent for me personally, at least, so I always recognize them. And 7 is like the number of spirit. So I feel like this was like a huge, like deep dive into like, this spiritual shift that we're experiencing. Yay, okay, I'm so excited. So, where to dive in? This is something I've been wanting to share for a while, and this is really potent. Honestly, you guys, if I can get this message across to the fullest extent that I want to, I really feel like this is going to be like one of, if not, the most potent thing that I've shared on this channel so far. Honestly, this is really, really like just a revelation for me. It has been, and as I'm saying that, I also want to say, of course, Um, everything I share on here is my experience, so please always use your own discretion. I'm not a guru. I don't believe in gurus. I'm just me. We're all having our own experience here, but this is like really, really powerful for me. So, where to begin? I think it starts with freedom, like I named this freedom because I'm always, that's one of the reasons I am the way I am is that I'm always um, pursuing my greatest freedom. I think freedom is one way we get to is the way we get to experience God. We get to experience life source, joy, abundance, like all of these things. It's like it's living free. Being free, and that's a big part of my inspiration for why I'm even here. Is so we can continue to experience these greater levels of being free, out of these boxes, out of these programs, out of these shackles, of all kinds, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. So something that's so beautiful about freedom is, we have free will. And this is kind of an area where, this, I feel like most people watching these videos, they're kind of both spiritual people and truther people, as I am. So, this is where we have this kind of like gray area where we have free will. But when this is kind of the conundrum of 3D Earth is when you don't know you have free will. Do you really have free will? It's like when you don't know you have free will, then you're kind of just you're kind of living as like an automaton. You're just kind of responding to your environment. And so I want to talk about like the different levels of consciousness, and I'm going to use like 3D, 4D, and 5D, because again, this is just the best way I know how to describe like these different levels of consciousness. And this is just so beautiful. This is really, really like I'm so excited to share this finally. Um, so I think that, again, if you've never heard these terms, 3D is like the material realm, the physical realm, very dense. It's not right or wrong. It's just dense. That's just how it is, whereas, and then we have 5D, people talk about a lot. This is the Christ consciousness. This is, what we're shifting into. Again, these are just words. But this 5D is the Christ consciousness where it's less polarized. It's a much more state of unity and peace. It's a higher consciousness. It's a much higher consciousness. And then I didn't skip 4D. 4D is in the middle. And 4D is often described as the bridge. And I'm going to talk about 4D a lot because most of us here are probably experiencing this 4D consciousness most of the time throughout our day. It's kind of what, this evolutionary shift is going from this 3D to 4D to 5D and beyond. But I'm just going to stick with this for now because this is the biggest part. So 4D is like the dream realm. The 4D realm is wild. In my opinion, it's like the craziest, because it's still very dense. It's like not quite as dense as the 3D. It's kind of more like the dreamy subconscious realm. It's spiritual, it's like it starts to be more spiritual, but it's still very polarized. So there's still a lot of darkness and freaky shit in 4D, but of course, there's also a lot of love and light in 4D as well. Whereas when you get into 5D, again, just talking about a higher consciousness, a higher state of being, there's not so much like polarity and contrast. And that's when you really start to kind of reach levels of consciousness to where there's a lot less, I don't know how to explain it, like a lot less like inversion, I guess you could say, like we experience in 3D and 4D. Nothing wrong with any of this. Like that's just how I'm just starting to like understand it. It's like physics, honestly. And one, you can see it in a lot of different ways, but it's honestly like physics. It's literally just levels of energy. So when you're in like, these 3D and 4D realms, you know, there's just a lot of contrast, there's a lot of polarity. It's just how it is. It's really just how it is. And what's really important and what I'm getting at with all of this, because this is the heart of the message, I want to explain this really articulately, so just bear with me. So the reason I'm getting to all of this is because what I'm really, really seeing so deeply in my heart and in my mind's eye is that, coming back to freedom, is that we have so much freedom in what we experience. And everything that we're experiencing is coming back to what we're choosing. And this is where it gets tricky, because I know, like, I feel like that statement can trigger a lot of people, but I want to explain that, because people would be like, why would I choose this? Why would I choose to suffer? And there's reasons for that. So there's a few different reasons why we choose to suffer here. So one thing, that there's, one reason would be maybe, originally when our spirit came here, we wanted to experience the 3D 4D realm. We wanted to experience what that contrast would be like. We wanted to experience suffering, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But from the higher level, if you connect with your soul, you'll probably feel that it's true. There's times in a soul's life when or soul's journey, I should say, where experiencing the deep contrast and suffering and pain that you can really only experience in the 3D and the 4D realm, even though it feels like shit here. It's like that is like a huge thing for a soul, because that causes so much expansion to experience and to understand the darkness at that level. It's like, even though it does suck to experience it, honestly, if we're being honest, it's like when you come out of it, it's like that is such an expansive experience. That's how you gain so much knowledge and experience that you can only experience when you're in it, you know? So that's one reason. And I feel like that's more like old school. Um, I feel like that's more like, that's kind of the more old school, like Earth mystery school. Most of us now, because we're at this evolution in consciousness, most of us now are ready to graduate that. We know we've experienced enough pain and suffering on earth, and now we're ready for what was this evolution that's coming next, um, which is, again, experiencing like this 5D awakening, Christ consciousness on earth. And this is actually, from what I've seen and understood, this is a collective decision, for humanity, although, it's a process, it's a journey, and, we're still kind of like in that process. It's a huge process. It's huge. So that's one reason. But so with that said, the main reason, since many of us at least watching are ready, we feel like we genuinely, okay, we've had that experience. We're really ready. We feel, I know I do. And I have a dream I'm going to share actually that relates to all of this and connects to all of this, that really also puts this in perspective. But for, myself and for many of us, we really feel like we're ready. Okay, we're ready to experience this heaven on earth now. We've experienced that. This is what we really came here for. So in that case, um, the main reason we often choose suffering and pain is because it's an unconscious choice. So we're making very unconscious choices, and we talk about this a lot. That's kind of like the programs, the beliefs, the things that we inherit from our environment, from our ancestors. And, just a reminder that the unconscious is, it's not even stuff you don't know, it's what you don't even know you don't know. So part of this evolution is, as Carl Jung so elegantly put it, is making the unconscious conscious. So that's what a lot of us are doing, and it's a very natural process, that we're here. It's like, certain thoughts or behaviors or patterns or whatever it may be that come up on this spiritual journey of like, oh, I'm doing this again. Oh, I'm feeding into this, or I'm, playing a victim, or, uh, I'm choosing like scarcity consciousness or unworthiness or these types of things. Um, and this is actually really, really empowering, is when you start to actually realize that it's a choice. And again, why would we choose that? Another reason why we choose this, again, mostly unconsciously, is it's like a drama. It's like maybe we're addicted to the drama of it, or it's just an experience. Like when you really start to tune into like the higher level, from a higher level, from who you really are, try to tune it from your higher self's perspective. um, you can see that experiencing suffering or unworthiness or fear, or even these things that we judge as bad, it's like an edginess. It's kind of like watching a scary movie. It's like a drama, and it's like, there's like a level to that when you see it from like a more neutral perspective like that, where it's like, oh, maybe that's why we're experiencing that, because it's a story, because it's like we're living out this story here. And again, that's part of, I think, like the old paradigm that we've been living in, is like the soul kind of wanting to experience these dark things, this contrast, the intense polarity, the intense drama of good and evil, that duality, wanting to experience that intense duality, because it's very exciting, isn't it? Even when it's hard, um, from a higher level, it's like you can see it's a drama. It's like it's very exciting. Um, so there's a lot of reasons why you would want to, why as a soul you'd want to experience that. But again, coming into what I'm talking about as this shift, you start to see it, and maybe you don't want to experience that anymore. Maybe and this is what I'm trying to tell you, is that you don't have to. Um, and that's kind of like the big thing, is like you don't have to. And I think we already know this deep down, but I just kind of want to elaborate on it, because it really, really is powerful when we realize the freedom we have in our choice. And what it really comes down to, as I said before, making the unconscious conscious. It's so simple, you guys. It's so beautifully simple. It really all is about your awareness. That's your freedom, is your awareness of the choices you're making. You don't have to complicate it. It's literally that simple. So, even when you're doing things that maybe you don't want to do anymore, maybe you're experiencing fear, or addiction, and I saw someone Ravel to Expand mention something of that, and I will elaborate on that in a moment. Or you're experiencing unworthiness, or these patterns, these things. Uh, so really, the way to start to come out of that is to simply come in. It really is as simple as coming to the present moment, remembering to be present, and bringing an awareness to it. That's really all it is. Because as soon as you shine your awareness, which is your light, your focus, your greatest gift, everybody wants your focus. That's what social media and all this is all about. Everybody wants your focus. It's so infinitely valuable. It's priceless. So your focus is so extremely important. What you're focusing on will become positive or negative, 3D, 4D, 5D, wherever you put your focus. This is like, it's kind of trippy, but that's literally where it's gonna, that's where it's gonna come. That's what's gonna manifest, and so simply though, when you observe yourself and bring awareness to the choices you're making, even if it's choices you feel like you don't have control of, like I'm choosing to feel this unworthiness, or I'm choosing to, um, engage in alcohol, or I'm choosing to do these things that, maybe I don't feel like is really in alignment with me anymore. I know it sounds almost too simple to be true, but really, bringing your awareness to it from a higher level and observing it is the first step. Because in my experience, as soon as you start to do that, you naturally start to shift. It really is incredible. Because and that's starting to come into 5D. Because I really, and this is all connected. I know I'm all over the place as usual, but it's all connected. Because where most of us are operating is in a 4D right now, and it's like we have to be really honest with ourselves about that. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just kind of the level of consciousness most of us are at right now, where if 3D is like very material, you know say 3D is like people who, it's like people who are so in the material realm matrix. They don't even have any awareness of spirit. They're just living out their 3D lives, and that's it. That's how the world has been, at least the past few hundred years. People have been just very much living in this 3D realm and had no problem with it. You can even see it like in most of the art and music from just a few decades ago, not that long ago. Everyone was very content living in this 3D matrix. Um, Whereas now, everyone pretty much, even if they're in denial or they don't want to, because of this shift in consciousness, it's like everyone's kind of like, and many of us at some point we're kind of even having existential crises of like, oh my God, I'm a spirit in a body. Like, what's going on? I think many people are feeling that, even if they didn't necessarily want to live a spiritual life. It's just kind of happening now. So 40, because this is what I really want to talk about, 40, and I think this is really, really helpful, is because 40, so 3D is when you have absolutely no awareness really of like your spirit in a body, in the Maya. Whereas once you come into 40, that's when you start to have this awareness. And there's, it's kind of still a spectrum. But 40 is when okay, now you have this awareness that, oh, I'm a spirit in a body, I'm consciousness. And you start to begin that spiritual journey. And this is what's so important, though, is like, just because you have that recognition, it doesn't mean that you're living in 5D at all. Because you can know that you're a spirit in a body, and you can still be doing and or experiencing very negative and inverted things, if I could say, in the 4D realm. It doesn't, you can honestly, you could be in 4D and you could actually be a really bad person, even, you know what I mean? It doesn't, being spiritual, obviously, it is, we're seeing, because pretty much everyone that I feel in some level is starting to have sort of a spiritual awakening. And that's really more, I would say, like that 4D realm of starting to recognize the truth of like, okay, yeah, I'm a spirit in a body. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean you're tuning into Christ consciousness, because again, you could be doing some really rotten things or experiencing rotten things, or you're just experiencing a lot of duality. This is right, this is wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing right or wrong with duality, because once you come into 5D, this higher, again, I'm just talking about different levels of consciousness, different states of being. 5D, this Christ consciousness, is a much higher, broader awareness. There's less polarity and duality. So it's very, when you're experiencing, when you're able to experience that state, you're able to really kind of reconcile like all this duality that most of us here in 4D, we're still very much playing in. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that we're playing in it, and it's our choice. It's actually a choice. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just, what do you want to choose? Because that your awareness of what I'm saying, as soon as you understand what I'm saying, you now have the freedom to choose. Do you want to continue to play in the 4D realm where there's still a lot of drama? And that's fine. There's nothing right or wrong about it. Or do you want to start coming into this higher awareness of 5D consciousness, where all this drama is sort of just kind of like, it just kind of starts to kind of, once you start observing it from your 5D higher version of yourself, when you observe it from that part, this even 4D drama of all these internal conflicts you have of duality and all this stuff, you start to observe it from this higher level, and it really just starts to dissolve. Really, really powerful stuff, and it really is your choice. And this is what I want to say too, because this is just how this message is delivered to me. It doesn't have to be hard, because even it being hard is like a 4D kind of like construct. It doesn't have to be hard. It's actually very, very simple. It's so unbelievably simple, as many things are. It's just, again, we complicate it with our minds and our thoughts, which is again more like I feel like a 3D 4D thing of like trying to complicate everything. When you see it from this higher perspective, it all just is. So it's like there's not this constant kind of like ping pong, or like, you know what I mean? Even certain things, I'm trying to be more aware of my language. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of it. That's what's important, with what you're experiencing. If you are in the 4D, what I mean, if you're in 4D, then it's like from the 5D, you see that it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it other than it's like, it's just energy, it's just physics, and it's your choice. So you don't have to be there. But if you're still wanting for some reason to choose to be in that drama of the 3D or the 4D, then maybe there's something there you still want to experience. There's nothing wrong with it. But what's important is that that it's a choice and that you don't have to be there. Something that goes really along with this message is that Nietzsche quote, when you stare into the void stares back. It's the same thing with this darkness. When you stare into the darkness will stare back. And what I mean by that is like when whatever you focus on, you're gonna keep seeing more of. So when you keep focusing on evil or darkness, it's like it's gonna keep like manifesting in your reality. You're gonna keep seeing stuff like that. That's just the law of the universe, really. So I just want to bring a level of awareness to that. And again, why do we experience that? Because we learn so much. Again, that's why it's like it's okay. We learned so much. I feel like, I call my channel Transforming the Darkness. It's like I've been studying that for a long time and I don't regret any of it. It's all so incredibly beautiful to understand and experience these things. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of choice, when you feel like you reach a point where it's like, okay, if I feel like I'm ready to graduate that, now you can start to kind of go on to these higher, I would say less dualistic um, experiences or states of being. It's all very, very natural. But the biggest thing that I just want to share with all of this, the really key is realizing that your awareness is your freedom. Your awareness of the choices you're making is your freedom. Realizing that everything in your life is a choice, even the suffering and the contrast and the things that you think you don't aren't choosing, on some level, you are choosing. And I know it can be a hard pill to swallow, but I don't say that to, the only reason I say that is to try to empower people, you know, because this is just what I've learned, oh, I'm choosing to engage in this drama. It's a choice. It's a choice to choose to engage in drama, whether it's a 3D drama of a physical event or whether it's this 4D drama of all of this. I'm telling you, the 4D realm is the trickiest realm, in my opinion. It's so crazy. It's so insane because it's very spiritual and all these people are starting to have this 4D awareness of like we're all like having this spiritual experience, but it in no way is necessarily Christ consciousness, because I would say Christ consciousness is very distinctly a 5D consciousness where it's just a higher level of being, and you kind of would do a disservice to yourself to confuse 4D spirituality for like actual Christ consciousness, unity, love, vibration beyond this duality of this is good and this is evil. And it doesn't mean that that stuff isn't real. It's just a level of what state are you operating in. It's very it's kind of trippy. It's multidimensional. Um, but again, it's just like what you stare at will stare back at you is basically what I'm saying. So it's like when you start, if you feel ready and you start going into this higher awareness, that's all it is. It's so simple. In fact, for most people it will seem boring. 5D will seem boring to you at first, to many people, because it's not drama. There's no drama. It's not like this like drama stuff that goes on in the 3D and the 4D, which again is the reason many of us are here to experience it. Either we want to be here experiencing it or we don't want to experience it, but we're just kind of so like used to it and programmed in it that we're kind of just automatically playing in it. Again, like I said before, unconsciously. So, our job there, if that's the case, is to make that unconscious conscious, which is again just shining your higher self awareness on, oh, I'm choosing this. So it's like, and we are multidimensional, so you're still going to have these experiences. It's just a matter of like, if you, for example, you feel fear, your higher self just observes it. It's like, I feel fear. You just observe it. That's it. Whereas if you feel fear and you're living in like this kind of more 4D realm, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I feel fear. I shouldn't feel this. I do feel this. And you're gonna have this kind of drama about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the level that it is. So I want to share a dream I had that correlates with this. This information was coming to me really strong on this solstice. So I've been kind of just like integrating it because it's really huge. For me, it is. Just really recognizing throughout my day the power of my choice. And this is kind of just what I've been sharing of like this softening and this allowing, and starting to think about my language more of like, there's nothing wrong with healing and cleansing, but then, there's also a level where it's like if you're always healing and cleansing, you're also kind of implying that you're sick and dirty. That's kind of like the two sides of the duality. So I kind of been shifting, more from that paradigm to more just like, let me just align more with God. Like, let me just align more with God. I don't need to like put labels on it and have this drama between it. Let me just align more with God. And it's a lot more peaceful. It's a lot more unified. It's a lot less dramatic. So again, it's a lot more peaceful. And at first, for some people, it might actually seem boring. And if it is, then, it's like, it's your choice on what level of consciousness that you want to experience at this time. Um, so I want to share this dream I have because this is like really, really such a perfect analogy from spirit. So I don't know if I shared this before on here. I probably have. There's it's not often, if ever, really, I've had like reoccurring dreams. There's a train, but I kept having this reoccurring dream that I was back in high school, and and every time it's basically the same scenario where I'm like back in high school and I'm so mad because I don't want to be there, and I'm like, oh, like this is bullshit. I shouldn't be here, but I have to be here. Like this is such a waste of my time. And that is how I was in high school completely. I mean, I didn't want to be there. Um, I felt like I was. So I had that dream like over 20 times, like a lot. Like it's like what is going on? And that is, how I was kind of in high school. Is like I didn't want to be there because there's like all summer long I would do these incredible things and I would read these books and learn all this stuff. And then I would feel like when I was back in high school, I'd be like, I'm back at square one. We're still learning the same shit every year. Is really how it feels like in the public school to me. It's really, really lame. And I really hated it. I really did. But anyways, so I started thinking about it because it was connected. It was coming in with like this revelation of what I'm sharing now, that it was connected. And I was like, well, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I wasn't forced to be there. I actually wasn't forced to be there. It didn't seem like it was a choice, but it was a choice. It's not like my mom or dad like put me at gunpoint and told me I had to go to school. Um, they wouldn't have been very happy with me if I dropped out or whatever, but it could have been a thing. Like I wasn't actually being forced to be there. And then I realized it's the same thing with this Earth Mystery School. And it's actually a brilliant analogy for everything I just shared, because it's deeper than just that. To what I was shown is that it was like an analogy for like, this old mystery school on Earth of experiencing the pain and the suffering, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I hate this. This is like this honestly, sitting here like I'm so ready to graduate. Like I'm so ready to do my own thing, but I have to be here. Why do I have to be here? And then realizing this huge like connection of like, oh, I don't have to be here. I don't have, we don't have to play in the 3D and the 4D realms. We actually don't. It's actually a choice. But you have to realize that it's a choice. You know what I mean? So again, kind of if you've been able to see this whole stream, this will make a lot more sense because I was talking about in the beginning, there's a lot of reasons why we might play in the 3D and the 4D realm, and whether it like old school is like we want our souls wanted to have these suffering experiences in the 3D and the 4D. That's kind of the old paradigm, but now because of this awakening, not only do we have the opportunity to experience 5D and we don't have to play in all this drama all the time. We don't have to. It's a choice. It's just the fact that we don't realize it's a choice, but it is a choice. You don't have to. And all it takes is so simple. It's not complicated at all because all this overcomplication again is that polarity of the 3D and the 4D. The 5D, it's so simple. It's literally just your awareness. And so it's literally just this practice throughout your day of bringing more presence and awareness into your life. So contrasting things will still happen. And when they do, it's just instead of like feeding into the drama internally, which is very much a 4D state of consciousness thing to do, feeding into the drama. Oh, this is a spiritual attack. This is that, blah, 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 not invalidating any of that because on that level it's true. But when you come into this higher level of this 5D consciousness, it's like God. It's your inner source. It's literally God. It's you. It's like it's just this awareness that just shines a light on it and just sees it, and it's seeing it is all you need because it immediately starts to transmute it. It's us choosing most of the time unconsciously because we think we have to, but we don't. Unconsciously choosing to when contrast arise is to feed into the drama. We just feed into the drama of it. And so that actually keeps it alive. And that's a choice. We don't have to do that anymore. So that's so beautiful. That's so liberating. That's so freeing. So as you begin to practice that, if that's what your soul wants to experience now, you can start to, the more you do that, and it's actually very simple. There's nothing really hard about that. It's literally just bringing your awareness into the mix, not having to be like this duality of like, I need to heal it. It's dirty. I need to cleanse it. It's clean. It's dirty. Just higher awareness of God, source consciousness, Christ consciousness. This is what I think the esoteric Christianity is really about, is the simplification. Instead of being in this quantum realm and doing the most, because in the 4D realm, we'll be doing the most. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. It's this, it's that, this drama, these stories, these conflicts. That's just the 4D realm. You don't have to be in it anymore. It's a choice. Once you see what I'm saying, you realize it's a choice and you don't have to play it anymore. You just bring your awareness to it. You'll be living in a whole new reality. And I'm telling you, it's incredible. It's very peaceful, but at the same time, it might even be boring at first. But I encourage you to keep going because you start to feel these really high levels of consciousness. It's really beautiful. But it might be boring at first because you're not gonna be playing in all this drama anymore. That's one of the reasons we entertain this 4D realm, is because it's like the drama of it. It's very edgy. It's very exciting. It's kind of like going and seeing a scary movie. I don't do that. I don't even do that anymore. I don't watch scary movies because I'm that person that I just told you about in my dream. I'm like, I'm good on this experience. Like, I'm good. I'm ready to graduate. I've had my time. I've lived in this high school. I've had my time in high school in 3D in the 4D realm. Nothing wrong with it, but it's like I am ready to move on. And I share this because I think most people, if not all the people watching this, are feeling that as well. It's like we've had this pain and this suffering. We can honor it. We can truly honor it, because that's when you really graduate something, is when you really are ready to just honor it and you're ready to go on. In this case, it's like bringing that awareness to what choices you're making every day. So simple, so beautifully, elegantly simple. Just bringing your awareness to it. And again, if you're really tapped into that like 4D mind, you're gonna hear this and you'll be like, it's not that simple. I can't do that. And again, that's that drama. That's that drama. Is like it's literally just softening and sort of just softening and kind of letting that go. You know what I mean? It's like in this awareness will just kind of like dawn on you as you practice it. It's so simple. I can't explain how simple it really is. I mean, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And it's like, that's what I was saying with the Christ consciousness. Like, it's like, that's why, Jesus Christ is so important, is because it's like, I feel like that was like, that's what that was really about, is like simplifying. Just focus on this love and this light, like truly though, this awareness. It's hard to put into words. That's one of the reasons why it's so convoluted here on earth. But keeping that simple intention of bringing your awareness into it, and you start to experience this higher state of consciousness, and you'll start finding yourself, because this is the opportunity we have right now, all of humanity. You'll start experiencing less of this drama, less of this contrast, less of this fighting, less of this battle. You know what I mean? And it's a different level of consciousness. You'll literally just start looking down at it, and you won't be like in the midst of it. You kind of be looking down at it, and you'll be seeing it for what it really is. So all of this is a choice. I hope this is so helpful. It's so beautiful to me. I think that dream is just so incredible when I finally realized what that dream was about. It's, oh, I do have a choice, because I did, it was so meaningful because I did have this belief system, as many of us probably do, where it's like, oh, I have to play in this though, even though I don't really want to. I have to play in the 3D and the 4D realm. I have to suffer. I have to do all this stuff. Um, that's the old. That's what we're shifting out of, and we are pioneers. And again, we see there's nothing even wrong with it. It's just physics. That's just the level of consciousness that it is. And for many of us, we're ready. We can feel it. I'm getting goosebumps because I can feel all of us. It's like we are ready to go beyond that, and we have the opportunity to. We can do that now, and for many of us, we're going to be the first ones to do it. But this is eventually going to be a thing for all of humanity, for the human race, coming into this higher awareness, because we're coming into this new era, this new age. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know, how it's going to go, but I do know that it's going to continue to kind of blow us out of the water, blow our minds with what it really is. Because, at least for me, over and over again, this ascension journey, this evolution is not what I thought it was. Because again, when you're in that 4D realm, it's like you can see it, but it's kind of so beyond your awareness that it's like it's hard. It's like, it's like we're going to continue to learn what it really means to be Christ consciousness. What does it really mean? It's not this 4D spiritual murkiness. Nothing wrong with that. But, it's like we have to be honest. This is a lot of what we're seeing in ourselves and in others is more this 4D consciousness of it can be very spiritual, but it can be very dark. It can be very inverted. It can still be very polarized. It can still be very judgmental. It can still be so drama, within ourselves towards other people. That's not 5D consciousness. It's just not. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just not 5D consciousness, because 5D consciousness, Christ consciousness, is a whole nother layer. It's a whole nother level of awareness, where there's just a higher level of consciousness. There's unity, there's peace, there's it just is what it is. It's not this like duality, because when you're in duality, it's really charged. It's just really, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, so that's kind of what I've been thinking about lately and how I've been living my life, and it's really just been so special and so beautiful. Because like I said in that dream I was having, like, I'm ready, I have been ready. And I just kind of had this belief like, oh, but I can't do that, I have to play in this like mystery school. And it's like, no, you don't. There's a whole other mystery school emerging, and that's what we're at the precipice of right now, and we can all begin to experience this right now. And I think this is honestly the greatest service we can do for humanity, is coming into this higher awareness. If we feel called, we all have our own role. Our soul has our own mission. We all have our own role to play here, but I'm just sharing mine, as I said in the very beginning. But coming into that higher awareness, it's like you're being a signal for what's possible. Because like I said in the very beginning, there's this really murky thing. This is one of the murky things about the 3D and the 4D realm, is that we always have free will. But when you don't know that you have free will, then do you really have free will? That's when you can really, really get lost, because you're basically being a robot. Then you're basically being an automaton. You don't know that you have free will, that you have a choice, and that everything you're creating is based off the choices you're making. The 3D and the 4D is very unconscious, so you don't know these choices that you're making. As soon as you understand what I'm saying, you have it back. You have it back. As soon as you remember you have this freedom. So that's where it gets murky, is that many people still don't recognize that they have this level of choice and this level of free will. So, those of us who can start to who feel called can start to live and then exist and embody in these higher states of consciousness, and we can start to experience this heaven on earth right here, right now. It's right here, right now. Experience this heaven on earth. However that manifests for us, we are a signal in the collective consciousness. We are a signal for what's possible. And I think that is one of the greatest services that we can give, is to share that. Because again, so many people, not knowing they have free will, feeling stuck, feeling trapped, feeling enslaved. And they are enslaved in a way, right? Because they don't know they have that freedom. They don't know they have that free will. And so it's like, people who may be stuck in that situation, when they see somebody shining their light, they see somebody doing things that they thought were impossible. They see somebody living in heaven and earth, being happy to be here, experiencing unprecedented joy and abundance and freedom. By you just living that out, you're being a signal for people who maybe don't believe that that's possible. They see it's actually happening. Now they can start to believe in it. Now they can start to awaken. Because if you haven't noticed, most people, pretty much everyone, nobody really awakens from you trying to awaken them. It's not really how it works here. It's like people awaken when they're ready, when they see somebody doing something that inspires them, and then now they're something's activated in them. They're like, oh, maybe I could be more free. Maybe I could be more compassionate. Maybe I could be more happy. Maybe I could be more loving. This is really how it works. So I think this is like the greatest service as well that we can do for people, is being in these higher states, because obviously we love humanity. We want to help our beautiful brothers and sisters. It's just funny how a lot of times it's not how we think it is. um, so continuing to realize, throughout your day, especially when contrast arises, it's really your relationship. Everything in life is relationships. Your relationship with contrast. When something happens that triggers you, or something unfavorable happens to you, unfavorable, or whatever, um, you can start to just shine your light and awareness on it, and just, it's basically just accepting it, just allowing it, just seeing it with your eyes wide open, instead of like having to maybe play in the drama of it. Again, nothing wrong with that. But if you're starting to go towards this higher consciousness, then you're just seeing it, and you're seeing you don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to play in the drama anymore. It's really a choice. Um, so that's really, really powerful. I think I've said everything I want to on that note for now. I'm sure I'll be sharing more on that later, but it's just really, really powerful. I mean, that's like, to me, like, that's the most powerful information I could give anyone. It's just a remembrance of their awareness in what they're choosing to focus on. What you're choosing to focus on is going to keep appearing, whether it's the most highest love and light, whether it's the most darkest, dingiest, freakiest shit, whatever you focus on is going to keep appearing. It's just going to keep like generating, honestly. That's because we're powerful creator beings. That's why everyone wants our focus. Last thing I'll say, and this is another reason why this is so important right now, if you haven't noticed, this whole like earth plane is just going bananas, because this 4D realm is starting to activate, where everything is becoming very spiritual and quantum, but there's still so much polarity and contrast. There's still so much fear and hatred and inversion, paranoia, judgment, like all these kinds of things. People think that, oh, now that I'm spiritual, like I'm good. Not talking about you guys, but I just think that's kind of like when people first start to spiritually awaken. It's like, oh, I'm spiritually awakened. But it's like that doesn't is that spiritual awakening is not Christ consciousness in of itself. It's the bridge to get there. And I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong about it. It's just, I guess, recognizing the different layers of awareness. Because you can be in 4D consciousness, totally aware that you're a spirit in a body, and you can still be tuning into some really freaking crazy shit that maybe you don't want to be tuning into. If you want to tune into it, then by all means, you can. That's your right. That's your choice. But I'm just saying, again, if you're tuning into things that you don't feel like are really serving you anymore, these dramas, these conflicts, this duality, I invite you to think about just observing it for what it is, and taking that higher approach. And it'll start to shift your life more into what people call 5D Christ consciousness. It's a more unified, higher way of being. And it truly shines a light on everything we're going through here. For me, more and more, I'm starting to see again, it's really just physics, and we have a choice in what we choose to experience. So what I was trying to say to kind of conclude this is, we're living in this time where, like, I know for me, like, it's just like it's so crazy what we're seeing, and I was even disturbed for a minute. I was like, man, like, society gonna collapse? I mean, it is, but I'm like, man, how is society gonna collapse? It can be pretty freaky seeing all this stuff, because everything is being revealed. You know what I mean? And we're at this time where I think we're able to see some of the most beautiful, inspiring people doing incredible, unheard of things. And we're also able to see some of the darkest, freakiest, grossest, densest things as well. And I think it's important again to remember that's what everyone wants, your focus. If you want to talk about these like evil people and their agendas and stuff, they want your attention and a focus more than anything, because that's what feeds what they're trying to do. And so, it's almost like counterintuitive. It's okay to have an awareness of it. I have an awareness of it. We all have an awareness of it, but it's like, what are you focusing on and putting your attention to? They're trying to create this like dystopian nightmare type of thing. And, I don't consent to that. I'm not going to live that way. I don't care. I'm not going to live that way. I'm not going to put my focus on that. I'm prepared for really anything, similar to 2020. I have so much compassion, understanding that was a really hard time for a lot of people. And that was kind of like they, talking about these lower realms, like that was the point. But it's like for me, 2020 was one of the best years of my life, and it only gets better and better. I didn't really have any problems. Obviously I was triggered a lot, as many of us were, but what I'm making the point is like, regardless of how, what is playing out in the world and what people are trying to make you believe about reality and what's happening and what's going to happen, as long as you're focused on your love and your light and your awareness, you're going to be fine, regardless of what happens, regardless of how crazy shit gets. It's really important, I think, for us to remember that. Take back your power. Remember who you really are. Remember where your power is coming from. Be aware of what you're focusing on. If you're focusing on all these things, all these evil, freaky things, um, without without being really grounded in your sovereignty, in your awareness, then that's when you can get sucked into that stuff. But it's a choice. Last thing I'll say, again, just repeating myself because it's so important. As soon as you understand what I'm saying here, though, as simple as your awareness of your choice is what's creating your reality. As soon as you just understand this message, you're free. You have the seed you need to be free, because you understand that you're choosing things, even if it's a hard pill to swallow at first. It's like, why am I choosing this? Why would I be choosing that? Just starting to realize that it's because, again, we're born into this world, this unconscious. We're all experiencing the collective unconscious of humanity. We're all experiencing that. That's part of the evolution. That's part of the shift. It isn't about never experiencing that again. It's about that's happening, and now we're starting to bring our God source awareness to it. That's all it is. That's all it is. And as we do that, it just shifts, because there's so many things that are out of our control beyond that. The things that we came here to experience and shift through our awareness, um, unworthiness, addiction, fear, paranoia, heartbreak, all of these things in the collective unconscious. We as the brave souls came here. To me, it's an honor to experience and bring our awareness to it, because as soon as you're understanding what I'm saying, you can see through the eyes of God. You bring that awareness to it, and it just shines a light on it, and it's done. You might have to do it a few times. It's done. It really is that simple. It doesn't have to be hard. If you believe it has to be hard, you're also making a choice. Everything is a choice. What are you choosing? It's really that simple. So, so much love to all of you. Yeah, that's so important, especially in this day and age, because again, it's like we have more freedom, we have more free will than we've ever had, if you understand that. So don't be, um, you don't have to be, I should say, seduced by like these attempts of like control anymore, because that's really what a lot of that stuff is mentally. It's an attempt to harness your focus to create someone else's dream. When really, I think it's all in all of our best interests if we're using our focus to create our dream. That's what I do. I'm always, focusing, doing my best to focus on creating the life I want to create that, sustains me and sustains the people I love and helps me, helps others, is in alignment with God. It's something that is we surrender because it's beyond our control, you know? It's so beautiful, it's so simple. So I'm going to read these comments now. If you guys have anything you want to share, um, any revelations or um, questions or anything you want to share, please feel free. Now would be a good time because I'm going to kind of respond to these comments and I think I'm going to hop off pretty soon. Oh, hello, Art of Arts. Olivia, hello. Love. Ravel to expand. Any advice on quitting alcohol? Hopefully, everything I just shared, if you're still here, I think I saw you recently comment. If you're still here, hopefully that was helpful. Um, I know addiction can be a tricky one, and I don't like to speak for other people, but just in my own experience, things that I've been addicted to, um, it's really again bringing that awareness to it, and starting to kind of like intend, and intend to let it go and start to let it go as you keep bringing awareness to it. That's really been my experience. And then also when you do it, instead of like maybe judging yourself or condemning yourself for it, just be like, okay, I'm letting this go. I'm letting this go. Having that awareness, even if you're doing it, even if you're drinking, bringing a whole new level of awareness to it. Like, oh, I'm drinking. How am I feeling? What's happening? Why am I doing this? Really just shining that awareness on it is honestly the best thing that I can give you. This is just my experience. Because a lot of times with addiction, it's the drama that actually can like be what's like really hooking people in to their addictions, is like the drama of it. Oh, I can't do this. I have to do this. I can't do this. I want to do this. It's like this weird ping pong thing that's happening, and it's like it like anchors us in. So that's just been my experience. Is kind of just like allowing it to be released. You know, with alcohol, it depends on I guess like how serious the substance is. Um, you know, a bit of alcohol isn't going to kill you, but obviously it is poison. It's just it is what it is. Um, yeah, I would just keep tuning into your heart, and you could even do a little bit of journaling about it. Why am I drinking? Is it do I feel like it's going to fill the void, or what's kind of just doing some self exploration like that, but really importantly not beating yourself up about it. Again, this is just my experience. I know it's kind of the opposite of like the traditional way, but for me, like not beating myself up about things, um, and just that's been the greatest way for me to release things that I no longer want to experience, and just having that level of awareness and presence to it. Hopefully that's helpful. If not, you can ask me more questions on that. Um, because yeah, alcohol is one of those things that, for me, I grew up with there's a lot of alcohol in the household, so it was always a turnoff to me. I'm not really ever been a fan of alcohol. Maybe every once in a while it's kind of fun. Um, but yeah, ultimately for me, it's I can't really find myself doing it that often because I just know that it dulls my senses so much. That's the thing about alcohol, is it can really, really dull your senses, your third eye, your awareness, your creativity, like all of these things. I notice that really strongly for me. For me, if I'm drinking, it's like, I don't even drink, I really don't. It's like maybe I'll have a couple glasses of wine and just get giggly. But if I do that, it's like I'm doing that before I go to bed, because I already know that like after that, like my brain is just going to be like done. Basically, like I'm not going to really be able to be creative or do the things I want to do to the full extent. So for me, that's one of the reasons that alcohol is just like very unattractive. Hopefully that's helpful. Metal Demon says, also ask yourself if some people around you are part of the environment that nudges you to repeat the choice. Yeah, exactly. That can be another thing, is if you're hanging out with people that are engaging with it, then you'll definitely want to try to find other friends or family, to hang out with, at least until you feel strong enough to like let that go. But if you're getting something out of it, maybe you could find a way to, find a healthier way to kind of deal with that. I know a lot of people drink because it helps them to feel kind of more like social or um, relaxed or numb. So just kind of see, is there something that's like, what's causing that? Are you avoiding something, or like, maybe you could try like deep breathing instead, or maybe you could try like a tea, like a relaxing, healthy tea that you can drink without it, as you said, without destroying your creativity and sense of wonder. That's a really good explanation for what alcohol does. You said, and it makes me fat. That's hilarious. Yeah, so I would find something, something better than that. There's a lot of ways to go about it. What I'm saying is, like, when you bring your awareness to something like an addiction like that, you bring this 5D awareness that I'm talking about without all the drama, just bringing your awareness to it fully as you're doing it, even without having to judge yourself. There's going to be a natural process, people call like the path of least resistance. There's going to be a natural process where you're going to be like no longer attracted to it. That's just been my experience with things that I've had to cut out of my life that were challenging. Is like, again, the more I fought myself about it, the drama, the more I would just be hooked in. But the more I just kind of let it go and let it go and let it go and don't beat myself up for it and just kind of flow with it, while holding the intention that, I don't want this in my experience anymore, it just kind of fades away. That's how I feel like, that's like, this awakening is so funny, because I feel like that's how a lot of things are. As we continue to evolve, it's like, it's a lot of these things that we thought were so horrible and so bad that we have to fight. It's like a lot of it kind of just sort of like fades away, you know. Maybe not everything, but just an interesting observation. Thank you, everyone. Beautiful, bonjour. Travel to expand says, it seems like you exhaled the you. I hope I say this right. You shots. You put. I know I've seen that word before. I don't know how to say it though, without needing to study them. Thank you. I should look into that though. Sending deep peace in the Numa of now to everyone. Thank you, Luminal Mind. Beautiful Richard. Stellar Shriner, hello. I am mastering the art of non distraction, sending you love and empowered sovereignty. Thank you so much. That's a really, really good one. That's synchronistic for me, because earlier today I was writing and kind of channeling my higher self for the day, and I was like, that was something I kept telling myself, because I had to get up and do a few things. It's like, don't get distracted, don't get distracted, don't get distracted. It's really easy to get distracted. I hope I say this right. Asaya Burns. It's a pretty name. I'm happy to finally make it live. Welcome. I'm glad you got to make it live as well. Love a light, a red Rudy says, when you finally get to the place of unconditional love, you will realize that everything is happening to bring awareness to you. Stay in the middle, balanced, undivided, and allow the beautiful becoming. Beautiful. Really well said. So much love to you. So grateful. So grateful for that. Yeah, that's really well said. That's something that I am like I am really like tuning into my brain too, that like everything is happening for me. Not everything's happening to me. Everything is happening for me. And it's so true, because even those nitty and gritty things that come up every now and then that trigger the fuck out of you, and it feels like, oh my god, I'm being sabotaged. Are you being sabotaged? You can see it that way. That's how the ego sees it, because the ego is like, oh my god, I have to die again. Basically, it's how the ego sees it, with all the love to the ego. But literally, it does have to die and be reborn again and again. And ego deaths happen all the time, and they never get I don't know if they ever get easier. They get lighter, they do, but they still hurt. It's just how it is, you know. So there's nothing wrong with you when you're feeling that. Ego deaths just hurt. It's just the way it is. You just kind of have to get used to it. um, but yeah, so what I say, so when things trigger you, it really start to, if you want, start to frame it as if it is actually serving you, because it is. Because anything that's triggering you is only showing you areas where you're not loving yourself to the full potential that you could be loving yourself. You know, loving yourself, and that's how you love others, is how much you love yourself. It really is that simple. You just bring back that power, bring back that love, bring back that freedom, bring back that choice. I choose to love myself now. I bring awareness to the areas I'm not loving myself. You know, it still might be a process, but it's like it is that simple. Jump back on. Hello. Choose to choose. It's your choice. Dot dot dot. Choose on that. I love that. That's a good one. It's a tongue twister. Oh, Asia. Asia. I love that. That's pretty how it's spelled. Super champion rocker. This has been lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So much love and gratitude to you all. I think I'm going to complete it there. Thank you all for your beautiful love and support and sharing. As I said in the beginning, I just released my album. It is on everything. I linked it in the description. It's on YouTube, of course, and it's on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp if you want to buy it. It really means a lot to me to listen and share it. Um, it's just incredible. I mean, it's really beautiful. I want to talk more about my album maybe in the next live, but it's just been, I feel like it's been so long. I just had to share this message, um, because there's a lot of just, so much heart is infused into that album. I had to make it an album because it really is a journey into the darkness, through the darkness and into the light. The whole album is a concept. The whole album is kind of a journey. So it's all very connected to me in that way, to listen to the whole thing all the way through. And I think every time you listen to it, you'll find new things because every single detail was not a coincidence. I can tell you that. That's one of the reasons it was so intense for me to make, is because every single detail of that was like, it's all connected. Like, as an artist, I really went the mile to make sure everything was sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just all flows in a very connected and um, divine way, musically and poetically, lyrically, conceptually, everything. So it means a lot to my heart. And the more you listen to it or share it, the more, I don't know anything about the whole algorithm thing, but I know that it like helps to like put it out there. And a lot of it I feel like can reach people who maybe it can really really assist. Maybe people who aren't aware of this information could hear it, and it'll be really activating for them to be more empowered in their life. So that's my goal, is to inspire and assist as much as possible with the art, with the music. Just so excited, so grateful. I feel so complete with this. I love you all so much. It's unreal. We're all walking each other home, right? That's why we're here. We're walking each other home. We all have all the awareness that we need within us. It's just remembering it and coming back to God's source energy within us every waking moment, whether we realize it or not. Now we see it's a choice to realize it or not. You choose it. What are you choosing? Okay, so much love to all of you. I'm going to take one more final breath. Have a beautiful Tuesday, all of you. God bless. I hope you have the most beautiful day, and I will see you soon. Thank you.